Hey, what's up guys? It's Jen. I'm very happy today, but I'm very symptomatic, and I thought it was a perfect day to tell you about my blood patch procedure that is coming up. Check out this drip. Gross. This only happens when I'm symptomatic. Comes flying out of the right side of my face. Gotta grab a tissue, stick you on a tripod, and I will tell you about what a blood patch procedure is, and also address why this is on my face if the patch is on my spine. Guys, I don't even know if I said this, but what's a blood patch is the point of this video. What's a blood patch? Why am I getting it? And other things that come in my brain while I'm talking about my blood patch. Here's the stool of happiness if you missed that. Let's do another drawing video. I also want to talk through my symptoms as I'm having them so that you guys can identify these symptoms in yourself. And if you're not a weird leaker like me, then maybe you'll just learn about how that there are people like me where one day I'm totally normal and then the next day I'm like this. I'm very shaky and I'm breathy. And before I came over here, I was having some trouble with feeling my legs, just in my feet, but these are things that start to happen when I'm on my decline from the leak going on. Of course, at this point, we're calling it suspected leak, but odds are very in our favor, and that's why I'm getting this blood patch. An epidural blood patch is, oh man, this is gonna be so hard to explain. Oh, that's why I got the picture. Got it. Okay, first I'm gonna take a break. Maybe if I had some socks, I would feel better. Oh, that's nice. Super nauseous. No. Like cold? I can sometimes get Raynaudey when I'm shivery like this. I feel like what I'm going through right now is some of my pre-migraine aura stuff. I'm getting, oh, my shoulders dropped. I'm getting some sensory aura and some like, right before I started filming, I had a bunch of yawning and some stuttering earlier when I was talking to our sitter. She has the babies right now. Oh, that's so funny. I guess yawning is contagious even when you're talking about it. Excuse me, that was rude. I shouldn't have talked when I was yawning. What I was thinking about... Sorry, let me try that again. What I was thinking about when I yawn was how sometimes it just feels like I'm hanging out with you and I start kind of forgetting I'm on camera. I think those are my favorite videos, when I just forget that you're a camera and... I tripped myself out thinking I forgot to push record. I didn't. Okay, let's get to the point. Brain leak. This is... I'll try to say that without sticking my tongue out a mile. Ever since my tongue tie revision, I do that sometimes. My tongue is like... bleh, and more stutters. It's a migraine aura again. Okay, here we go. Brain. There's my brain. Your brain is surrounded by the dura. The dura goes all the way down your spine, and this is all full of CSF fluid, cerebrospinal fluid. So CSF includes the fluid. This is full of CSF. You may recall from my previous video, I had two paths that I could take. One was blood patch. The other was CT myelogram. In this video, we're talking about the blood patch. It is suspected, based on my symptoms and MRI findings and my flat test and all sorts of stuff, that somewhere on my dura there is a hole. And it's suspected that it is somewhere along my spine. That was a confusing way to say it. By along my spine, I mean like on the dura in the spine. Now outside of the dura is the actual like spinal column that goes down, and in between the dura and the spinal column is your epidural space. Let me make that a color. So all up in here is the epidural space. It is outside of the dura and the brain fluid, but still inside of your spine. So all up in here, that's I accidentally just drew the blood patch already. Look at that. That's where the blood patch is going. It's going in the epidural space, which is the same place like when you get an epidural when you have a baby. It's the same place where the epidural stuff goes. What they do is they take blood out of your arm and they stick it up in your back. Let's go back to showing you the problem because I didn't even show you the problem. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm gonna hurl. I just did a bunch of like, Then I did it again to show you. Good one. The CSF, the brain fluid, I already told you guys is all up in here. The problem is that if there's a hole somewhere along the dura, along that sac that's holding it in, then the brain fluid is leaking out, and then your brain kind of falls down, and then your nerves don't really work right, and the whole cascade of problems. You get pachymeningeal enhancement up here from your brain like falling down and stuff. So that's the problem. Now we can't find the hole yet. It's complicated why. So the hope with this blood patch, and this is all the blood patch is that if we inject the blood into there, that the blood will apply pressure back toward the dura and kind of hold all that stuff in, and with the powers of the body and the stuff in the blood, that hole is getting patched by the blood, and the blood is applying the pressure. Because if there wasn't any pressure in there, then the fluid would just bust the patch really fast because all the fluid wants to flow out of the hole. I can't words. Did you understand those words? Now, by the way, guys, I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, obviously. I'm just migraine Jen, scratching my arm with a notepad. This is purely patient perspective, okay? I do want to briefly touch on the CT myelogram, guys. If I go down this route, the problem with the CT myelogram is I have these two cysts, and they might be fistulas. There are these two cysts in my neck, and they are places of interest. But we're gonna try this blood patch thing first because I have places of interest down here too. If I go CT myelogram, that'll be to check for a totally different problem, maybe. Or the CT myelogram would also be able to show us one of these holes. The CT myelogram, in short, is a test where they inject dye and then you see where the dye is leaking. Everything I'm saying is out of order and it's just gonna be fine. The procedure itself, I don't know too much about because I haven't gotten it yet. But this is what I know. First, they make you loopy, thankfully. And this is gonna have a problem with the fact that I'm breastfeeding, so I'm not gonna be able to breastfeed while I'm on all of these horrible painkillers and all the stuff. That stuff's not gonna go to the babies. I am gonna have to pump and down. What they're gonna do is get me loopy and then they put me into whatever position. I don't know. I'm not looking up super nitty-gritty details like that because I don't wanna freak myself out having nightmares. Once I get images in my head, I don't wanna think about that hard. What they do is, just like an epidural when you have a baby, which I've never had, but it's rumored this is what happens. They do a little tiny needle and they numb the area, and then they go in with a bigger needle into the space, and then for the epidural when you have a baby, they put the medicine in there. They put like a catheter thing in. Is it still a catheter if you're putting stuff in instead of taking stuff out? They take blood out of your arm and they attach it to that needle and they syringe it in. Wow, that's good. Look at that. Dang, it's like so square, super square. That's good. They inject, and since the patient, that's me, is still awake, then the patient is able to let the doctor know when the volume of blood is starting to push on their spinal column, because they'll start to get symptoms like increasing pressure in their head and decreasing sensation in their extremities. I can't wait for that part. It's gonna be really fun. And then, I guess they just pull the needle out and move to the next spot. I don't know how the back pressure thing works with me getting 3 different spots at the same time. That's what's happening. They'll have to hold me at the surgery center for a little bit, and then they will send me home. I'm staying in the area for a while to make sure that everything stabilizes before I travel home. And then I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw up again, hold on. When a wave of symptoms comes, it's sometimes pretty intense. Oh man. I have a little bit of vertigo that's still kind of going, but I'm feeling a lot better. Okay. Like full body, very light tremoring. I don't know if it was enough tremoring that you guys can see it or not, but we'll see. I specifically chose right now to film so that all of these symptoms could be shown because they're so wild and random and oh. All right, guys. Now where were we? Oh, we're talking about laying down after the patch. I haven't gone in for my blood patch yet. It is scheduled for a couple of weeks from now, but if you're watching this video, I'm going to post it the day after my blood patch. I'm actually getting 3 blood patches in the same day. I'm getting patched at L1-2, L4-5, and mid-thoracic. Those places were chosen based on imaging findings. Since they don't want the pressure of all of the fluid and stuff that's in your brain and everything pushing down on the patch that they just put in, they have you lay flat for 72 hours after your patch. However, I have a gene mutation. It's called prothrombin 2, I think, that makes me slightly more at risk for deep vein thrombosis or blood clots or something. Gosh, guys, I don't remember exactly. I just don't. I'm sorry. But this gene mutation means that they don't want me laying down for more than 24 hours because of the risk of blood clots. One more consideration for the blood patch. There is a risk of rebound high pressure. So when your brain has been leaking for a while and it's going blah, 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 it needs to create a lot more brain fluid in order to keep up with the demand and try to keep your brain floating. Wow. Okay, I moved. I just got a throbbing headache. This is why I'm getting a blood patch. This is why I'm getting 3 blood patches. Okay, oh yeah, rebound high pressure is what we were talking about. If your situation is chronic, it sounds like some people's bodies have trouble down-regulating the production of CSF. So for some people, they end up with a rebound super high cranial pressure headache. That's horrible because it could blow your patch. Some people are put on Diamox temporarily for that. And I was concerned about flying home after my patch just because of the changes in pressure in the cabin and stuff. And my doctor said that a couple of days after the laying down period, it was totally gonna be okay to fly. What I am doing is I'm bringing a friend, I'm bringing my sister on board the plane so that she and my husband can each have a baby. And that way it'll just be me and my service dog and I won't need to worry about carrying things or any sudden movements. But just so you know, flying is okay. That said, my doctor said that if I wake up the morning of the flight, did you guys see my eyes twiddling just now? What's fluttering? I don't know if that's perceptible, but man, that is going. Oh, there goes the eyeballs. Oh, there goes the rest of it. This might travel down. Man, it hurts. Seriously, I'm so kicking myself for not pushing record. I stalled like 5 minutes to put on eyeliner and mascara, and it made me miss the drip. You guys almost got another drip. Ugh. Okay. What the heck was I on? High pressure headaches. Okay. My doctor told me that if I wake up on the day of the flight and I do have a high pressure headache, then I cannot get on that flight. He said I have to not have high pressure on the day that I go on the flight. So, flights have to be movable, they have to be flexible, and you need to make sure that your staying arrangements are flexible. Make sure that you have a place to stay that night if you do need to move your flight. Did I finish my thought? Okay, well, I clearly need to lay down. Okay, and remember at the very beginning of the video how I had that drip coming out of my nose? And like that's tied to this? I'm confused about that. I know some of you are too. Back in the very beginning of first suspecting that I had a CSF leak, I came to you guys about it and I told you that I suspected a cranial leak because of this goop that was coming out of my nose. We've never been able to collect enough of the fluid, like it takes a lot of volume, to do the beta transferrin test to see whether or not it really is brain fluid. So at this point, it's still a mystery, but it only happens when I'm symptomatic and all of my symptoms are postural. So it's suspected that it's related, even though it's suspected that my leak is in my spine based on my symptoms. I don't know, guys. My current hypothesis is that the fluid is either that pachymeningeal enhancement that we saw on the MRI that goes around the brain. Ooh, I drew it for you. At the top, this stuff, when the dura falls down, it like fills with stuff that you can see. I'm not doing a good job here. Point is, I think it could be that. I think it could be sinus stuff gooping out. And I'm also kind of wondering, people talk about the sella becomes empty in people who have higher cranial pressure. So I'm wondering if the leak happens and I get that pachymeningeal enhancement and then it's trapped. My brain tries to refill itself, but it's trapped and it gets mad. And can sella juice come out? I don't know. Can the pachy juice come out? I don't know. My ears sometimes feel really clogged and full. I think everything is kind of getting pushed a lot and none of it really likes it. So while I don't necessarily think that it's brain fluid coming out of my nose, I think that it is directly due to me leaking. Indirectly, it's secondary. I do believe it's secondary to me leaking. Not bad, Migraine Jen. I think the only other thing I want to tell you is that you have to lay down. After the laying down, let me think. The people who I've talked to about their recovery from blood patching, it's been just a few days on the heavier painkillers and then they were able to wean off or taper from there. For them, it's been about 3 weeks or 4 weeks of pretty bad back pain. And saying like that is totally a Migraine Jen thing that I do. And I learned that by filming myself. What was my sentence though? What was I saying? I don't know. Oh yeah, I was gonna say no bending, lifting, twisting for 4 to 6 weeks, which is gonna be very difficult with 2 toddlers that are 2 and 1, and I'm the primary caretaker. So I have a lot of strategies going into place for this, and I'm gonna take you guys along for as much as I possibly can. Make sure you're subscribed, hit like, thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Wish me luck.